Seeing is believing, and what was caught over California is going to leave everyone speechless. This is the clearest footage of an unknown craft ever recorded, and it looks like an insane starfish flying through the clouds. It was kept hidden for years, and for good reason. This is not just a random light in the night. This is a solid object moving at over 100 miles per hour without any wings or visible engines. So here is the deal. The government had this tape and did not want to share it. But here is the catch. The truth is finally out, and it reveals something lurking in the clouds that we are not prepared to handle.
It makes no sense. It is just the most bizarre structure with no purpose and with speed that has everyone across the intelligence community just asking questions and trying to figure out what this thing is. There is no wings. There's seemingly no place for anyone to sit on. It's just a bizarre shape that has a strange propulsion and disappeared immediately.
So you have obviously had great access to things that the public hasn't seen yet. And it is your determination that this UFO thing, there's something major to it and the public should know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication.
Radar confirmed mystery. High above the coastline of California, something is moving that should not be there. It is a solid object, captured in crystal clear thermal imaging by a sophisticated camera system. For years, this footage was tucked away in files that the public was never meant to see. But now that it is out, the questions are piling up faster than the answers. This is a key detail, because the quality of the video is unlike the grainy, shaky clips most people are used to seeing. This is high-definition data from a high-end sensor. It shows an object that is about the size of a small car, but it does not have any wings, propellers, or exhaust. It looks like a starfish spinning in the air, and it is insane how smooth it flies. One of the most overlooked aspects of this sighting is the way the object interacts with the environment. It flies over the ground at roughly 120 miles per hour. That might not sound like a lot for a jet, but for something with no visible means of lift, it is impossible. And get this, as it approaches the ocean, it does not slow down. It dives straight into the water at full speed. Most planes would break apart or at least create a massive splash, but this object just slides right in. Many are not seeing the truth here, which is that this craft seems to treat air and water exactly the same way. It is as if the density of the fluid does not matter to the technology inside. The camera stays locked on as the object travels under the waves, maintaining its speed without any trouble. The crazy part is what happens once it is under the water. The camera stays locked on, and you can see the heat signature through the waves. It continues to move at high speeds, then it pops back out of the ocean and continues its flight. This is not a submarine, and it is not a plane. It is something else entirely. So here is the deal. Scientists have looked at this for a long time, and they cannot find a single human invention that can do this. There are still many rumors on the air, but what many can confirm is that no country on Earth has a craft that can fly into the ocean and out again without taking any damage. Basically, we are looking at a machine that ignores the laws of physics. It does not create a sonic boom when it moves fast, and it does not leave a heat trail like a normal engine would. What most people do not realize is that this footage was taken by a professional crew using equipment worth millions of dollars. This is not a fake video made in a basement. It is a real recording of a real event. Nobody expected this to happen, but the proof is right there on the screen. It is hands down the most significant evidence of advanced technology in our skies. Experts have spent hundreds of hours analyzing every frame of this video. They looked at the way the light hits the object and how the sensor tracks its heat. The conclusion is always the same. There is no trickery here. This is a physical object that is doing things that our current science says are impossible. But here is the catch. As strange as this flying starfish is, something even weirder was found walking through a backyard at night.
Okay, I want to play you a soundbite. Former colleague of yours, Matt Gaetz, making some pretty shocking statements yesterday about aliens. Take a look.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. Aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants.
All right. I mean, you know, I don't have the tinfoil hat on just yet, Congressman, but I'm wondering, you know, kind of how you react to that, because you are connected. You're on the UFO subcommittee. I mean, I'm just wondering what you make of that. Have you heard anything like that?
Well, I'm still a member of Congress, so I can't really comment too much on what Matt said. But I will say this.
Wait, seriously? Are you being serious, or is that tongue in cheek?
I'm being 100% serious. Okay. I've been 100% serious. I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. And I'll just tell you this, if they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up, you'd be up at night worrying about or thinking about this stuff. We just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was briefed. I'll just tell you this. I was briefed last week on an issue, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago. And it would have set the earth on this country would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers, and we need to. But you know, it's never going to get. Unfortunately, it just keeps getting covered up, and the people that know are dying or disappearing, as the case may be.
Wow.
And for the record, I'm not suicidal, and I don't take risks. So,
I'm glad you said that. I'm speechless, Congressman.
Well,
we will have you back.
You should be. And I told the president, release it all. And the problem is, the people that are around the president don't know and the president doesn't know the questions to ask. A few of us are going to have to get with the president and tell him what he needs to ask and where he needs to look. I mean, you know, we're in meetings and they give addresses and tell locations of items, I'll just say. And the public has a right to know, dadgummit. It's your tax dollars.
Absolutely.
Let's get it out there.
You got my attention, Congressman. I appreciate you being as forthcoming as you have been tonight, and we look forward to having you back. Look, I know Donald Trump wants to disclose something. He hasn't done it yet, but I think he wants to be the president to do that. Tim Burchett, thank you.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. Thank you.
Backyard alien encounter. Just when you think the sky is the only place hiding mysteries, you have to look at what was caught on a security camera in Fresno. This is a story that has confused experts for over a decade. A homeowner was tired of his dogs barking at nothing, so he set up a basic camera to see what was going on. He expected to find a coyote or maybe a person trespassing. Instead, he caught something that looks like it belongs in a different dimension. See, the footage shows two white shapes walking across the grass. They do not have arms, and they do not have heads. They are basically just a pair of long, spindly legs. These things are often called Fresno nightcrawlers, and they move with a strange, fluid motion. Everyone is obsessed with the idea of little green men, but these things are something else. They walk with the grace of a living animal, yet they lack almost all the parts we associate with biology. They are only about 3 feet tall, and they are thin as a rail. It is not that simple, though, because many people tried to prove this was a hoax. They tried using puppets, and they tried using people in suits. But here is the catch. No one could recreate the way these things move. Their knees bend in ways that human legs just cannot. A lot of people is confused about how something so simple could be so hard to explain. When you look at the original tape, you can see the creatures move from one side of the yard to the other in a matter of seconds. They do not seem to be wearing clothes, but their skin is a bright, solid white. The second part of this mystery happened later in Yosemite National Park. Another camera caught the same type of creatures walking through the trees. This is a key detail because it proves the Fresno sighting was not just a one-time glitch. These things are out there, and they seem to be moving through the forest. Many are not seeing the truth here, but these creatures do not leave footprints. It is as if they are so light that they do not even press down on the grass or the dirt. One of the most overlooked aspects of the Nightcrawler story is the legend that comes from the local native tribes. They have stories about beings that have lived in the area for hundreds of years. They describe them as peaceful walkers that belong to the earth. So here is the deal. While we might think this is a new alien mystery, it might actually be something very old that has stayed hidden from us. The crazy part is that they showed up on a cheap security camera when they have avoided discovery for so long. Nobody expected this to happen, but once the video hit the internet, it became one of the most famous paranormal clips in history. People have tried to explain them as escaped circus animals or even a camera glitch, but none of those theories hold up. A camera glitch does not walk across a yard with consistent movement and a clear shadow. Escaped animals do not have two legs and no body. It is a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. And get this. While these leggy creatures walk the earth, the military is tracking objects that move even faster than sound over the Pacific. Forbidden flight data. The military has spent decades watching the skies, and sometimes they catch things they cannot explain. In many cases, these videos are marked as top secret and locked away. But recently, some of this forbidden flight data has leaked out. One of the most shocking videos shows an object being tracked by an infrared camera on a fighter jet. The pilots are heard talking about how the object is rotating in mid-air. It is not that simple, though, because there are no wings to help it turn. It just spins while moving forward at thousands of miles per hour. This is a key detail because it shows a level of control that our best jets do not have. What most people do not realize is that these objects are often seen near military training ranges. They seem to be interested in our most advanced technology. And get this. One leaked clip shows an object that actually splits into two separate crafts while flying. It does not explode, and it does not fall apart. It just becomes two identical objects that continue to fly side by side. Hands down, this is some of the most frightening evidence, because it shows that whatever is flying, these things has mastered physics in a way we cannot even imagine. For starters, we do not even have a theory on how to make a solid object split in two while moving at Mach 5. Many are not seeing the truth here, but these sightings are happening every single day. Pilots are coming forward and saying that they see these things almost every time they go up for a mission. It is not just one or two crazy stories. It is hundreds of professional reports from people who know exactly what a plane looks like. They describe objects that can stop on a dime and then accelerate to 5,000 miles per hour in a second. If a human pilot tried that, the force would be too much for the body to handle. The crazy part is that these crafts do not make any noise. There is no roar of an engine and no sonic boom when they break the sound barrier. They move through the air like it is not even there. So, here is the deal. The government is starting to admit that these things are real. They do not call them UFOs anymore. They call them unidentified aerial phenomena. But here is the catch. Even though they admit they are real, they still claim they do not know where they come from. It is not that simple, though, because some of the data suggests these objects are coming from space, or even from under the ocean. Nobody expected this to happen, but the military is now being forced to talk about things they have kept secret for 70 years. One report even suggests that these objects have been seen entering and leaving our atmosphere at 20,000 miles per hour. But here is the catch. All this evidence leads to one big question about who is actually behind the controls. Hidden neighbors and the mystery of the starfish craft. One major theory suggests that these entities are part of a hidden neighbor civilization. Humans have explored the surface of the moon more than they have explored the deep parts of the Earth's oceans or the massive cave systems underground. If a group of intelligent beings evolved in the deep sea, their technology would look exactly like the starfish craft. A machine built for the crushing pressure of the ocean floor would not need wings or engines to fly. It would use magnetic fields or gravity to move through the air as if it were swimming through water. To these beings, our atmosphere probably feels like a thin liquid. They might not be visiting from space. They might just be coming up to the surface to check on their upstairs neighbors. The Fresno walkers add another layer to this mystery. If the starfish craft is a vehicle, the walkers might be biological tools. Some researchers believe these creatures are living drones. Instead of building robots out of metal and wires, a more advanced civilization might grow them out of cells. These walkers do not seem to have brains or faces because they do not need them. They exist for one purpose: to walk across the land and scan the environment. They move in a straight line, ignoring fences and dogs, almost as if they are following a preset path. They could be the janitors of the planet. While humans are busy with work and school, these entities might be quietly cleaning up environmental damage or measuring the health of the soil in secret. There is also the idea that these things are not solid at all. Some people think the starfish and the walkers are actually glitches in how we see reality. Science tells us that there might be other worlds existing right on top of ours, like layers in a cake. Usually, these layers do not touch, but every now and then, a leak happens. The starfish craft might be a normal animal or a common boat in a different world. When it passes through a thin spot in reality, it appears in our sky as a confusing shape that defies the laws of physics. It looks weird to us because we are only seeing a small piece of it poking through into our dimension. Finally, some believe these sightings are part of a massive, ancient defense system. Earth is billions of years old, and humans have only been here for a tiny fraction of that time. It is possible that a different intelligent species lived here millions of years ago and left behind an automated security system. The starfish craft could be a high-speed patrol drone, and the Fresno walkers could be ground sensors. They might have been dormant for a long time, only waking up recently because of how much humans are changing the planet. They aren't here to talk or make friends. They are simply following a program that was written before the first human ever walked upright. Every new piece of footage is a reminder that the world is a crowded place, even if the other residents choose to stay in the shadows. The silent future and the leak in reality. The most shocking thing about the starfish craft and the Fresno walkers is the total silence. Every human invention that moves fast makes a lot of noise. Jet engines roar, car tires hum, and even small drones buzz like angry bees. But these objects move through the air and across the ground without making a single sound. It is like watching a movie with the volume turned off. This silence proves that the technology is hundreds, or maybe thousands, of years ahead of anything the military owns. If the government had engines that were this quiet and this fast, they would not be using old rockets to send satellites into space. It wouldn't make sense to keep using loud, expensive fuel if they had a way to move like a ghost. This leads to the time traveler theory. Some believe these visitors are actually humans from a very distant future. Over millions of years, the human body would change. If people lived in space or in high-tech cities for generations, they might not need arms or heavy torsos anymore. They might evolve into tall, spindly beings, just like the Fresno walkers. Under this theory, the starfish craft is a time machine. The reason they are so quiet and hard to catch is that they are trying not to disturb the past. They are like tourists visiting a museum, watching how their ancestors lived before a major event changed the world. They don't want to change history. They just want to document it. Another wild theory is that these entities are living data. We are reaching a point where humans can store information in DNA or light. An advanced civilization might have moved past the need for physical bodies entirely. They could be made of pure energy or smart matter that can change shape instantly. The starfish craft might look like a sea creature one minute and a cloud the next, because it is made of millions of small particles that work together. This would explain why they don't follow the rules of biology. They aren't born, and they don't die in the way we understand. They are more like a wireless signal that has taken a physical form so it can interact with our world. The surge in sightings in 2026 is likely due to the camera trap effect. In the past, if someone saw a strange creature in their yard, they only had their word to prove it. Now, almost every house has a doorbell camera, and every person has a high-definition phone in their pocket. Satellites are watching every square inch of the dirt from above. The secret is becoming impossible to keep because there are too many eyes watching. Some people think the government is slowly letting this information out because they know they can't hide it anymore. This is called disclosure. It is a slow process of getting the public used to the idea that humans are not the only intelligent things on Earth. There is also the nature's ghost theory. This suggests that the starfish and the walkers are actually a natural part of Earth's ecosystem that we simply forgot about. In ancient times, people told stories about spirits, wood nymphs, and monsters. As science grew, people started to call those stories fairy tales. But what if those stories were based on real things? The Fresno walkers might be what ancient people called forest spirits. Because we live in cities now, we have lost our connection to these things. They haven't arrived recently. They have always been here, living in the corners of our vision. Our modern technology is finally catching up to what ancient humans knew all along. The big picture is starting to come together. Whether these things are from the future, another dimension, or the deep ocean, they show that our reality is just one small part of a much bigger system. The starfish craft and the Fresno walkers don't follow our rules of physics because they don't belong to our version of the world. They are proof that the impossible is becoming a documented fact. Every day, more data is shared and more witnesses come forward. The mystery starts in the high clouds and ends in our own backyards. We are living in a time where the truth is no longer a rumor. It is something caught on camera, waiting for us to finally understand what we are looking at. Do you think the government is finally ready to tell us the full truth about these objects? Or are we still being kept in the dark about our neighbors? Subscribe and like for more.